name is Nur Anisha Zuana binti Suzuki and my magic number is 2XC239. In the research, we will analyze annual report for two companies which are Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia Berhad and Heineken Malaysia Berhad. We will take the financial information from the annual report to calculate the ratios for both companies. The ratios include liquidity ratios, activity ratios, profitability ratios and leverage ratios. We will compare the result to see the financial performance for both companies. We also want to determine which company more valuable to invest by the investors. Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia Berhad was established in 1969 and is headquartered in Shah Alam, Selangor, Malaysia. Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia Berhad manufactures beer, stout, shandy and non-alcoholic beverage for domestic and international operation. They are also a member of the Carlsbeg Group, one of the world's leading brewers with major market position in Western, Eastern and Asian Europe. The second company is Heineken Malaysia Berhad. The company has been present in Malaysia since 1964 and the company shares have been traded on the Bursa Malaysian Beer Market since 1965. GAPL holds 51% of Heineken Malaysia, while the public owns 59% of the shares. On 21 April 2016, the company name was changed to Heineken Malaysia Berhad following Heineken and Wheats association of Deco PLC Holdings in GAPL in October 2015. The objective for the research is to identify the financial status for Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia Berhad and Heineken Malaysia Berhad. The next objective is to calculate the financial ratios for both companies. And the last objective of the research is to determine which company more valuable to invest by investor among Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia Berhad and Heineken Malaysia Berhad.
What is financial statement? Financial statement is a record of company financial position at a point in time. It is a recorded transaction that has been summarized and the reports are provided for the users to make decisions. The data presented in the statement are for a period of time.
Exhibit 1 illustrates a horizontal analysis of Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia Berhad statement of comprehensive income for 2 years ended on 31 December 2020 and 31 December 2019. In Exhibit 1, the statement of comprehensive income as of 31 December 2019 is used as the base year. Exhibit 1 indicates the revenue decreased by 50.69% during 2020, along with the reduction in total revenue, gross profit, which is a profit that subtracted all the costs which is related to manufacturing and selling its services, was considerably decreased by 0.60% in 2020. Next, the result from operating activities had decreased by 1.0% in 2020. This is because of pandemic, so the operating activity currently stopped. Furthermore, operating profit also decreased by 45.82% in 2020 because the factory reduced their operation. Same goes to the profit before taxation, even decreasing by 45.82% in the year of 2020. However, taxation increased by 12.16% in 2020. Moreover, the profit for the financial year decreased by 44.62% in 2020 than 2019. The income statement decreased by 7.21% during 2020. Meanwhile, the net of tax increased in 2020 by 89.31% in that year. Finally, the total of comprehensive income for the financial year has decreased by 43.98% during the year of 2020.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Habibah Maisarah binti Muhammad Azhar. My magic number is 284246. The graph in the slide shows the statement of financial position of Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia Berhad for 31st December 2019 and 2020. Based on the statement of financial position, the total assets and equity and liabilities increased from RM 685,921 to 696,943 from 2019 to 2020. From 2019 to 2020, the assets decreased from 87.74% to 87.37%. The equity increased from 57.93% to 62.11%, while liabilities decreased from 42.07% to 37.89%. Some examples of the non-current assets are property, plant and equipment, which will increase by 3.91%, and the right-of-use assets decreased by 1.8%, which is equivalent to 119 ringgit. For current assets, inventories and tax recoverable will increase by 2.8% and 43.03% respectively, while cash and cash equivalents decreased by 48.26%. Furthermore, the total equity attributable to the owners of the company has increased by 8.95%. Next, the total non-current liabilities decreased by 0.78%, which is equivalent to 144 ringgit, while the total current liabilities decreased by 9.03%, and the items under current liabilities are payables and payables, which was decreased by 33.72%, and loans and borrowing, which increased by 55.25%.
For Heineken Malaysia Berhad, our group takes statement of comprehensive income for the year ended 31 December 2020 and 2019. From this income statement, we could see that revenue decreased by 12.11%, gross profit decreased by 21.93%, result from operating activities decreased by 76.2%, net finance cost decreased by 13.05%, and last but not least, profit before tax decreased by 77.14%. In this slide, we could see that the profit or total comprehensive income for the year decreased by 77.10% from 2019 to 2020. In 2019, the profit is RM 435,000,000 and it decreased to RM 99,626,000 in 2020. Next is statement of financial position of Heineken Malaysia Berhad for the year ended 31 December 2020 and 2019. As we could see here, total asset and equity and liability increased by RM 590,000,000 in 2019 to RM 612,000,000 in 2020. Now, I'm going to talk about reduction that happened in asset, equity and liability from 2019 to 2020. As we can see in the graph bar here, we can see that asset as the orange bar decreased by 16.78% to 58.15%. Next is equity, which is in the blue bar, decreased by 51.967% to 33.59%. Lastly is liability, which is the purple bar, increased from 58.33% to 66.4%.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Syeda Nafisa binti Abdullah with metric number 2Exceed431, and I will continue the presentation on financial ratios. Under the financial ratios, we have profitability ratios, leverage ratios, liquidity ratios, and also activity ratios. And under the liquidity ratios, we have current ratio and also quick ratio. The result of the calculation, Heineken Malaysia Berhad recorded a 0.35 quick ratio, while Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia recorded 0.04. Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia shows a lower number. This is because the value of current liabilities are higher than its quick assets. Therefore, Heineken Malaysia Berhad has a better quick ratio as a result of one is considered to be normal quick ratio. And the next one is current ratio. Referring to the formula of a current ratio, which is current asset divided by current liabilities, it is shown that Heineken Malaysia Berhad current ratio is 0.69, meanwhile Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia is 0.36. A current ratio that is lower than 1 usually is considered the company may have some issues meeting its short-term obligation. This shows that Heineken Malaysia Berhad has a better current ratio even though it is still below 1. And next we have activity ratios, and under that we have inventory turnover, total asset turnover, and also account receivable turnover. The inventory turnover for Heineken Malaysia Berhad is 35.76, meanwhile Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia is 23.08. Heineken shows a higher number of inventory turnover. A higher number of inventory turnover is better as it is considered a positive indicator of effective inventory management. However, it is not always meaning better performance, as it might include inadequate inventory level, which might lead to decrease in sales. And the next one is total asset turnover. The formula of total asset turnover resulted in the same number of total asset turnover for both company, which is 2. In retail sector, an asset turnover ratio of 2.5 or more could be considered good, while a company in the other sectors such as utility sectors is more likely to aim for an asset turnover ratio that is between 0.25 to 0.5. Therefore, Heineken Malaysia Berhad and Carlsbeg Brewery Berhad total asset turnover is a little lower than a usual good asset turnover ratio, which is 2.5 above. And the next one is account receivable turnover. And the calculation result of Heineken Malaysia Berhad account receivable turnover is 10.67. Meanwhile, Carlsbeg Brewery Berhad is 52.20. And Carlsbeg has a better account receivable turnover as it recorded. A higher number of account receivable turnover is better as it shows that the customer of one company are paying on time.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Asmah Izati binti Muhammad Ali. Metric numbers 2X6678. Now I want to present about profitability ratio and leverage ratio. Profitability ratio are a class of financial metric that are used as a business ability to generate earning relative to its revenue, operating cost, balance sheet of asset or shareholder equity over time using data from specific point in time. Profitability ratio have two, which are profit margin on sale and return on asset. Profit margin on sale formula is net income divide net sale. The current profit margin on sale for Heineken Malaysia Berhad is 99,626 divide to 1,253,124 equal 0.080. Next, for Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia Berhad, 176,906 divide 990,024 equal to 0.179. Next, return on asset formula is net income divide average total asset. Formula for average total asset is total asset for 2019 plus 2020 divide 2. The current return on asset for Heineken Malaysia Berhad is 1990,626 divide 601,226 equal to 0.166, and the return on asset for Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia Berhad 176,906 divide 691,432 equal to 0.256. Leverage ratio. A leverage ratio is any one of several financial measurements that look how much capital come in the form of debt of assesses the ability of company to meet the financial obligations. The leverage ratio category is important because companies rely on mixture of equity and debt to finance their operations, and knowing the amount of debt held by a company is useful in evaluating whether it can pay off its debt as they come due. Several common leverage ratios are discussed below. For leverage ratio have two, which are debt to asset ratio and debt of equity ratio. Debt to asset ratio formula is total liability divided total asset. The current debt to asset ratio for Heineken Malaysia Berhad is 406,591 divided to 612,251 equal to 0.664. And for Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia Berhad, asset ratio is 264,051 divided to 696,943 equal to 0.379. Debt to equity ratio formula, total debt divided to owner equity. The current debt to equity ratio for Heineken Malaysia Berhad is 406,591 divided to 205,660 equal to 1.977. For Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia Berhad, 264,051 divided to 432,892 equal to 0.610. So in conclusion, the best calculation from profit margin and sale and return on asset is from Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia Berhad because that is highest than Heineken Malaysia Berhad. While for debt to asset ratio and debt to equity ratio, is the best is from Heineken Malaysia Berhad because that is highest than Carlsbeg Brewery Malaysia Berhad.
Our group use the financial statement, which are statement of comprehensive income and financial position, to determine the performance of the company. Our group measure the value of the financial ratios by using the information given in the financial statement. The financial statement is used as the resources to help users to make better decisions, such as for the internal and external users.